Hello, everybody. We're back this week, Mozi and Han Feizi, to discuss demographics in China. I think Mozi will start off by giving a brief introduction of what is on the docket for today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the China's demographics. Basically, what we've been talking about the Chinese economy or all this macro thing that we are interested in. Today we talk about demographics. So we probably talk a little bit of our own anecdotal experience, but at the same time, so we may, on these tips, clips to talk about a bit of the other factors about the demographic, like unemployment, and then also the growth of the population, and then the growth of the educated population. Um, it will be surrounding the two articles that Han Fei has written on the Asian Time. But maybe before we start, so we just let Han Fei to give a summary to the audience so that the audience get a bit of context before I jump into my side of the question to discuss with Han Fei.
Okay, so there's a lot of discussion on China's demographics. One of the biggest things, it's all of the news, and it's not just China, it's all of the world, but China seems to be more severe than most of the developed world, though far from the worst and far from being far from unique. Is that and that's collapsing birth rates. And this collapsing birth rates for everybody, and especially China, has really accelerated sometime after around 2017. It just was going along at pretty good 1.6 babies per woman, and it suddenly just dropped to the floor to now it's probably just above 1, falling below Japan at 1.3. Still above South Korea, which is now below 0.7. And now this looks very poor. Behind this, there are a lot of elements involved. One is COVID years. So that has put a confound into the data. We're not exactly sure what this means. The other is that China's college students have surged in recent years with an especially large increase just starting around 2017. And that has taken a lot of young people off the marriage/family formation market. And we are not sure how much of the decline is based on that and how much is decline is based on something that's will not come back. If it's just a college thing, some of it will come back. I'm sharing a screen right now. I'll give you guys little charts as to what we're talking about. If you see this blue chart right here, the birth, it was going along my arrows, my cursors quite nicely, about just over 15 million births. And then they loosened up family planning around the one-child policy around 2015-ish. So you had a little tiny spike, and then bang. And that is where it just fell right down, and that is your collapsing birth rate. Some of it's COVID years right here. And here is your college grads and the percent of age cohorts. So right around when the college grads started surging sometime around 2022. So the students started entering into the university around 2017. And that's when you took a lot of people off the family formation or delayed family formation. So that might have some explanatory power into why China's birth rates have fallen faster than other developed markets, and the chance that maybe these births will come back just in a delayed manner. Later, we'll get into what this means that more people are getting educated. But I'll pass it back to Mozi for any other color he wants to add.
I'm good. Because you in the article, you're making the point about despite the falling population, the number of educated population is actually increasing. So the increasing educated population is actually a more relevant driver for the country's productivity going forward, right? So your point is the falling population does not necessarily translate to the same decline in the GDP. So, because
Yep.
the educated population is increasing, so the GDP, just like Korea and Taiwan, those examples, as you point out in your article, so that the GDP could continue to grow just because it is more, so the educated population is a bigger the driver than the overall population. Right? I think I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just show you some more charts of what this kind of looks like for some other countries. If you see this red, that's China, that's its age population profile. So very few people, of course, near 100 because they're all dead. Um, and then this right here, this plateau, is kind of what China is going to be banking on for the next 20 years of growth. And there's plenty of people there. These people are already born, and these people will become the college grads between now and 2043. After 2043, it's this little valley that we got to worry about. Then everything falls off a cliff. And if you don't start getting the birth rates back up again, then what it means is though automation and those robots and AI better have succeeded and really worked by 2043 if you can't ramp up birth rates from here. You see, Japan had a much more kind of a genteel decline, but it has declined and it doesn't have in the next 20 years, it doesn't have like this plateau of young people that China still has. Korea, it's its own story. It had a much further decline and much faster, but they have been going all balls. I'll show you some more charts later. Going all balls, educating everybody in the population. This is happening all over Asia. Taiwan, Singapore, and Hong Kong look the same. And they're lacking young people. Supposedly, Hong Kong and Singapore have the option of immigration, but it doesn't seem to have affected the population age profile yet. Let me go through this. So what's happening if you look at these education charts? China just in these recent years has reached pretty much, this is probably as many college grads as there's going to be. This chart right here is 4-year college grads, and this chart right here is 2-year college grads. That's your associate degrees or your technicians and stuff, and this is your proper 4-year degrees. China at this point is somewhere around 1975 Japan. So what happened in Japan is that they kind of peaked and plateaued in college grads until they got to the 90s. And in the 90s, what they started doing is 4-year colleges started robbing the 2-year programs. The 2-year programs started going away. And then because they started running out of young people. So the young people that would have gone to 2-year programs all went to 4-year programs. And then that's how Japan reaches about a 50% college graduation rate or college entrance rate for its 18-year-olds. But that also says that the quality of the Japanese college student is declining because they're dipping into the bench. China still has a long time to go before they start dipping into the bench. So right now, China's education profile is probably what Japan was in 1975. So there's got to be, about another 15, 20, well, for China, it's about 20 years left to go. Japan also had a problem where in 1971, 21% of people majored in engineering, and now 15%. So when you look at the engineering charts, China just keeps going up. This is your STEM grads. And in Japan, your engineers started getting taken over by other parts of the STEM field, mostly medicine. So there's less engineers of a lower quality than there were graduating, in the 90s and in the 90s. So that's one of the reasons, and I would conjecture to say it's a major reason Japan is stagnated. So you can see right here, China's college grads surged up, and it's a huge surge starting around 2020, and that is related to what we were talking before, taking a lot of people out of the family formation market. Japan, its college grads already plateaued and it's declining. So China's about 20 years away from that. And this kind of correlates into a lot of the plateauing of Japan's human capital, where you have, domestic patent applications are falling in Japan. China is surging like this. Korea is climbing up steadily. But this is patent applications. Patents as a percent of world total. Similarly, Japan used to be 20%. Now it's at 5%. Scientific papers, the top 1% of papers published. These charts all kind of look the same. It pretty much correlates with college grads. Korea is an extremely scary case where they had college entrants over 100% for 18-year-old cohorts of the past few years. For a few years, we're nearing 100%. What it means in Korea is that they have run out of young people to send to college. So they're grabbing older people who didn't go to college, 15, 20 years ago, and putting them on four-year programs to shore up their human capital. And then that's how it seems to be. That's how Korea has kept growing and outgrowing Japan. But that just leads to even fewer babies born. That's why they have birth rates that are just catastrophic. Let's see if there are anything else I would like to add based on this data. No, that's about it. So if there's Johnson, Mozi, you got anything to add?
Yeah. In the same articles, you also have this chart about or also at the point about the youth unemployment, right? Is it in this one or the other one?
The other one. The
other one. Okay.
The other one. Okay, so China's youth unemployment data goes like this. And then what happened, this chart does not include the latest data. They have redone the data. And then it falls from 20-something% to now 17-something%. So it looks like the youth unemployment is not as bad as 20-some% as 17%. The claim is that the old methodology included students who are looking for jobs, and then full-time students are not included in the new methodology. So, but I also have this theory that this chart, part of the reason that youth unemployment has been going up is a function of a lot of youth coming out of the job market and going to universities. Because what happens is that there's always a percentage of youths, something like, I'm just making up this number, something like 5% of all youths out there are neither employable or educable. These are people who are sitting at home playing video games, not going to work and not going to college. They will grow out of it at some point, but for these years, they're just totally useless beings. And I think we all know someone like that in our lives. Now, as more and more kids go to college, this 5% that's always there is a much larger percentage of the working pool of labor. So that makes it look like the youth unemployment is climbing, but it's largely because a lot has exited the labor pool and are going to college, if that makes any sense. So
yes,
that's one reason. The other thing about youth unemployment, just kind of anecdotally, what it means in China for the urban youth to be unemployed. A lot of it is new college grads that cannot find jobs or cannot find jobs that they're satisfied with. So what happens is they just come out of college and then they can't find the white-collar job that their university degree has trained them for, and they're not willing to take a Meituan delivery job or a McDonald's job or a salesman in a retail stores job that does not require a college education, even though those jobs are open, because I see help wanted signs all over. A lot of restaurants have help wanted signs. Now, what happens is that the youth unemployment is 18 to 24. That has a 17% unemployment rate. The next bracket up, 25 to, I think it's 28, is the next bracket of age that's listed by the NBS. Unemployment falls from 17% to something, I think, if I last remember, 6 point something percent. So what that tells me is these youths are spending their time interviewing for jobs, playing video games, not wanting to work in the restaurant or become a Meituan delivery guy until they reach an age where, okay, they got to do something, which is take any job that's available. Uh, so right now, what you have in China is a lot of blue collar jobs like Meituan delivery guys, factory workers are pushing up past the income of entry level white collar college grads, as in Meituan delivery guys in Beijing, can expect to earn 8 to 10,000 RMB a month if you are industrious and hustle. New graduates in Beijing, the average new graduate in Beijing is probably earning something between 7 and 8,000 as their first starting salary. The idea is that they have a higher upside, but the blue collar wages are pushing up into the entry level white collar space.
Right. And then you also have the point about in these articles, you also this point about if the youth unemployment is really that high and really a problem, so it should have pushed up the overall unemployment figure, and that one has been stable at around 5%, right? So
Yep.
You think that's something that you think is mainly because the denominators shrink. So, and the 5% not looking for a job is still the 5% not looking for a job. I mean that the absolute number, then not the 5%. Every cohort now is around what, 13 million to 15 million, right? So every
Something like
cohort
that.
of the
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So I just suspect as an 18-year-old, there is going to be something like 15% of 18-year-olds are neither employable or educable. So they're barely looking for a job, they're playing video games all day, and they're not in university. And by the time they turn 25, their parents have gotten so sick of them that they kick them out of the house and they find a job. That's what I think is going on.
Oh, okay. So that's a point about how that the unemployment dropped from whatever 14 to 24% to just around 6%
Yes,
after the
that's
past 25. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think is going on. I mean, it's one of these things. It's almost a disease of wealth, where now many youths are able to do that because their family will indulge them. But 25 years ago, you don't have that problem. Everybody's kicked out of the house to find a job right away, just because the
Mm.
family doesn't have the resources to keep some layabout teenager around. But nowadays, there's a lot of youth that are just kind of laying about at home and waiting for the perfect job to come around. And then at some point, they will get so sick of themselves, or they'll settle for the job that they didn't, that they passed on right now. And to me, that is perfectly rational. They think something better will come around. And for them to take a job at the Luckin Coffee it takes them away from more active searching for employment that they really want. It's hard work. They don't want to stand on their feet all day. They more preferably play on their phones and play video games all day. And that's perfectly rational. If I were young and my parents were modestly middle class and were willing to put up with my laziness, I would do that too.
Right. But so for the unemployment map, done by, I don't know if there's a case in China, but I presume it is. For most of the places I know, so they don't usually count those guys who are not looking for a job into the denominator.
Correct.
So
but China,
the 5% is not even a denominator anyway.
I suspect that those people will answer. There's a cohort of people that will say, "I am looking for a job," but what they're doing is rejecting all the jobs that come their way. Right? They're the kids that I am looking, but I'm only going to take a job that fulfills my artistic ambition. I get to hang out with cool people, pays very well, and is high status.
So then this 5% of every cohort would be what, something about 500,000 to say 700,000 people.
I'm not at all putting a number on it. I really don't know what, if it's 5% or 10%, 15, 20%, at what age. What I am doing is to say that there is this number of people out there, and if no numbers change in society, nothing will change, and the youth unemployment number will be legitimate. But what has happened is that because so many youth have been sucked up by the college system, there has a lot of people that have legitimately been taken out of the pool that says, I am looking for a job. Because they're in university, they say, I'm just not looking for a job. So therefore, the denominator gets to be much smaller, right?
Right.
So these guys that are goofing off and are looking for a job but aren't really, or are looking, new college grads that is looking to get hired by Goldman Sachs and is rejecting, all the other jobs that are coming around, accounts for some of this rise in youth unemployment.
Yeah. Yes. So the point here is that the age group from 16 to 24 years old, there's about 8 years of them, right? Or 7.5.
Yeah.
Because the college graduation age is around 23 and a half in your article.
Yeah. Average college.
So counted as 7.5 years, so 7.5 cohort, and every cohort is around 700,000. So that give us around 5 million people out of this something about 100 million. So 5%, right? So then there's 100 million. Actually, the denominator actually shrink because more and more people enter into the university. So the point that raised in your article is so since 2018, the number of admission into university education been increasing by a couple million every year.
Let me see. So in 2017, college grad. Okay, I should look on not grads but entering, and that's on my other chart. Yeah. Okay, so last year the graduates were almost 12 million. This is 2023.
Has it plateaued, the figure?
Supposedly 2025 will hit 12.2. So it hasn't plateaued yet, but just about.
12 million is around the plateau then.
Yeah,
so
12 million.
The peak will be 12.5, right?
Yeah. So in 2015, and I'm eyeballing this, in 2015, it was about 7.5 million. So between 2015 and 2023, that's 8 years, you added 4.5 million.
Yeah. So basically, out of this 110 or 120 million people between 16 to 24, nearly 90 million actually in university. So you only have around 30 million.
Yeah.
So that should be up for employment.
Yeah.
And out of the 30 million, about 4.5 or 5 million people, so they never look for a job anyway, or they pretend. Assume, because for them to be included in these statistics, that they have to be declared that they're looking.
Yeah.
But then they're actually turning down every opportunity. So hence you have this around I get these figures around 5 million versus 30s. Then you get around 18% unemployment.
Yeah, that's what I.
So
go ahead.
So that's the whole idea. Okay, so but then the big assumption here is these 5 million people is India are looking, so they are not the one who is supposed to be excluded. Yeah. So otherwise, then if these 5 million being excluded, so we are looking around 25 million people actually looking for a job, and then the 25 millions and you have nearly 20% that is not being employed, then there's 4 million people. So there's 4 plus 5. Instead of just 5 million people being unemployed.
Yeah. So, I mean, anecdotally, I hear a lot of these cases where these people are college students that are graduated and don't have jobs. And I said, why don't you work at, McDonald's or be a waiter? And they just said, it's not worth their time, right? So
the generation changed. So they are not like the one even 20 years ago. So, they're more willing to try whatever they could get.
Yeah.
And this generation, they talk more about the work-life balance. So we heard about those as well in our workplace, especially from those who are born after 95. So they do look for work-life balance. So they may not go for that kind of Meituan type of job. Yeah, that's one angle. So I just want to clear the way that these 5 million people, so they had to be declared, they had to be
They do.
declaring that they're
Yeah.
looking for a job. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's our assumption here. So and then the second point about why it hasn't hit. I mean, why is such a huge or growing unemployment for the youth, and then why the nationwide unemployment is staying at around 5%? So that's one that is the 5%. I just over the last couple of days, to search around, I just found there's a lot of a story about from different economies, like the latest ones, the Gao San ones. He's talking about 47 million urban population,
Yeah.
or 740 million urban employed population are lost over the last few
It
years.
could be. It
So
could be. Yeah.
many of them return back to the rural area. So he considered those to be the job loss. So
because this unemployment rate is just China's urban unemployment rate. It is not the overall country's unemployment rate. So if you have people who went back to the countryside, they are almost by definition considered employed, as in they are now tilling the fields or doing farm work or whatever the government assumes they are doing. But they are automatically consumed, or they automatically drop out of the urban unemployment rate. This 5% just does not include them, does not include the people who went back to the countryside.
Yeah, to put this at 47 million, a kind of lost job in the urban area. In context, right? Because the urban employed population is around 470 million based on the government's statistics in 2023. So the total employed population for the whole nation is 740 million. And then the urbans are 470, and then the rural employed populations are 270. So the 47 million job loss is nearly like 10% of the urban's job opportunity for the
if his
employed
numbers are right,
position.
if his numbers are right, then that's it. Then those are the numbers. But there's debate on whether his numbers are right or not.
Yeah, I see his numbers are basically based on the kind of the population employed figures. So he extrapolate. But then, granted, the figure that he used, I think he used it for multiple years. Let me look. So, I mean, after the call, I can send you some the chart that he used, so that then you look at so what, because he does extrapolate some, but then he extrapolate out of let's see 20, he started from 2011, and then the employed population in urban areas actually been going like a straight line all the way until the last few years, and suddenly it dropped down, and then rebound a little bit, but still it didn't exceed the 20. It doesn't exist the 2021 figure. So basically, it started to come down in 2020. So you can have a look at the chart. So his so-called job loss is he's assuming that those jobs in the urban area will continue to grow like the last 10 years. But then it didn't. So it kind of it plateaued down a little bit and then rebound. But still, it's at the same level. Now it's still back to the same level as the 2020. So instead of continue to grow. So that is the extrapolate chart that take into account of the potential growth or the historical growth trajectory. So comparing to what it is now, then he get this 47 million figure. So that's one. But I did some maps. But up until we convene this call, I run into this issue, right? The total employable population in China, if they count, it should be from 16 years old to 60, right? Because the retirement age is still 60 years old, right? So I presume that haven't changed it.
They have a scheme to push it up.
Has it been finalized or still talking about it?
I think it's done regionally, but I have to check on
Yeah.
that. In Beijing, they're already complaining about it, so it's definitely affecting some people.
So from 60 until 65, or
I think it depends on your age. So, the people are close to retiring now, then it won't be pushed up all that much. But for the people who are like 25 and expect to retire in like 30 years, it's higher.
yeah, okay. But okay, so let's assume they're still 60, but we
Uh-huh.
may need to add like
Yeah.
every years we may have to add around like 15 million, right? So 16 to 60 years old or 59 years old, so the whole population is around so a bit short of 900 million out of a population of 1.4 billion, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So 900 million, and then those in school. So we are counting around seven cohort
Hmm.
of 12 million each right in school. So we just talked about the admission rates around 12 million for
Hmm.
each age group, right?
Hmm.
So that they give us around 90 million. So the actual employable population is only around 800 million. I mean, only still
Okay.
huge, right?
Okay.
800
Yeah.
million.
Yeah.
Okay, 800 millions, assuming 5% are those people who won't look for job because they're housewife
Yeah.
or,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
or some of the young people have zero
Yeah.
incentive to look for a job.
Yeah.
Then we get only around maybe 750 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
750 million, the urban, so the mix, I'm not so sure. So between urban and rural.
Uh-huh.
I just assume that the urban is maybe 0.65, just like the same split as the urban and rural population.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it could be that the urban employable population is slightly higher because the rural young force they tend to go to the urban, right, to look for job.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
the rule, yeah, you're probably right because who lives in the rural areas? It's really old people
yeah,
or taking care of their grandkids, kind of the
yes.
unemployable part of the population.
So yeah, out of these age groups, I figured that if we count around 65% in urban and then 35 in rural, then we get about close to 500 million in urban and then around like 250 in rural.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
those are the populations up for job, up for employment.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes some sense. Yeah.
yeah, and then when I look at the population employed last year, so that is 740. So already 740 to 750 that we calculate as this employable population. Yeah, then it means no unemployment. That is yeah, I have my first question mark here if that's true. Secondly, I when I look at because out of the 740 employed population, they also give the rural and urban split, which is 470 and
Mm,
270.
mm, mm.
So then it doesn't really compare well to the number that I just did. Out of the 750, I get around 490 or 500 million
Mm.
as the urban employable population, and then 250 as a rural because the 490 is even higher than the employed population they provided in the split.
Yeah.
So that's where yeah, before the call, I just try to see if by the number that the government provide, if I can work out is a 5% unemployment. I found I could not.
Yeah.
The figure they provide even. So
Yeah.
I just lay out the figures here, right? I just where I highlight. You see where I
Yep.
highlight. Yeah,
Yep.
there's the total population for the age groups. What I guess is 885.
Uh-huh.
So it's the population for the age of 16 to 59. And
Mm.
then I take out 90 millions, which is I just use a 7.5 multiplied by 12 million a year. So 7.5 years. So that they are in school. Then we get this
I think
employment.
I think you're overestimating that number. Let me think. Let me think. So 12,
This one, no, but then
the people are graduating this year will be 12. then the people who
enter would not be
12.
less than 12.
Yeah, okay, you're right. That's the right number. Yep.
Yeah, so I just take this year's graduations multiplied by 7.5. So then,
but that might
then
be
we
an
get,
over number because they're not in school. It takes an average of 7.5 years. I mean, the average graduation rate year is 23.7, I think. But they're not in school all that time because school is only 4 years, 4 or 2 years.
No,
So
but after 16, they still in high school. They may be in high schools up until like 18.
18, and
Yeah.
then okay, and then that might be too high a number, as it might, right? So between 18 and 24, that's 6 years. Some of them are 2-year programs, some of them are in 4-year programs. So the average time they are in school should be something like between 3 and 4. Some people are stupid and then they're take extra year to graduate, and some people drop out for a couple years to do whatever. So I'm not too sure how you treat that 90 number, but let's continue. Let's say they're all otherwise occupied.
Okay, good. Sorry, sir. I just want run through it so
okay,
that you and also whoever listening, then they can see it instead of me mumbling the numbers. And then I take these figures. It's a 95%. So just take out the 5% of people who don't look for a job anyway.
Yep.
So that figures in different countries, like the case in Hong Kong, there's actually up to 6-7%. Even though in Hong Kong we get the Filipino maids and all this, right? Hong Kong should have a higher percentage of people who are up for employment. But even in Hong Kong, there's a 6 and 7% of people not looking for a job. But anyway, in China, I only assume 5%. So then that's what I get. So the employable population in urban and rural. These figures are given by the government. So those are what I estimate. Those are what I estimate. And this is given. These 3 figures are given. I just found it 3 figures. It's too high comparing to the employable population.
They seem not far off, right? For a estimate.
No, because this one cannot be minus, right? The rule, the case is the employable population, even less than what the government thinks. As the rural population having a job in the rural area. You cannot have this figure lower than this one. So I think I could only have to assume even lower percentage, but then this one, we will get
right. Okay.
So, I mean, like one way or the other. Some may have to give. Because this one given, and then this one pretty much given. So then we can debate if 90 million is being too high, but it's 7.5 cohort. And then starting from high school, right? So I don't think if you're graduating every year, you get 12 million graduate already. Then you have a bunch of high school kids that did not go to university, right?
Yeah, I suspect.
So the 12 million a year is, I think, pretty good figure.
Yeah. Maybe your 90%, 95% employable is too high.
Right. Okay. Then, or even lower. No, if this one lower, then the number would not even make better sense. We need to have a higher employable population to make this to fit in the 740. Basically, this figure is very high. What the government declare. So then, if this one is not too high, then we need to have a much higher employable population. Then we probably have to say, maybe 98% of the population in the employment age in China is up for a job. Then you get this unemployment rate that's slightly closer to what the government say. Right. So that's one angle to it. So, but another angle. So recently, the Gao Sanwen's talking about in the urban area, actually we have lost 10% of the jobs. So figure here, it should have been like 510 million jobs available. So we lost 40 to 50 million jobs. So and those jobs actually circle back to the rural area.
Mhm.
The rural area, yeah, this figure I have another. So maybe these numbers not comparing to this age group because the rural area they don't have retirement age. Yeah, you have a lot of old people, maybe also
Yeah.
in the rural workforce. So this
Yeah.
figure, yeah, these figures may be including a lot of people beyond
It
60
could,
years.
yeah. Yeah. It could
That
be.
is highly likely.
Yeah.
So we actually yeah, this figure is
Yeah.
not 100% comparable to the figure that we have here.
Yeah.
Because this one we are talking about, we're capping the age group of at 60, and this one maybe way over 60. So
I mean, if you go to rural places, you do see really old people working.
yeah, either very young and very old. Right? So
Yeah.
the one who like below the one between 20 and below 40, the chances that they will be in the city looking for a job.
Yeah.
And until maybe recently, they also found that it's hard to get a job in the city. So yeah, that the employment figures, I think maybe I need to come back on this one. So anyway, back to today's
Hmm.
topic on this the youth unemployment. So you have two angles. One is the denominators are getting depleted because more and more young people enter into university.
Yep.
So the denominator gets smaller. But the 5 million people or 4 million people not looking for a job, they're still there. So with the fixed figures of people not looking for or not that keen about employment comparing to a smaller denominator, hence the unemployment for youth is in moving up to this high teen or 20%.
Yeah, it's
Um,
moving up just
yeah,
following the more and more youth are entering college. That's
yeah, and
one
then
element of it. I suspect the other one element of that, one element is the graduates just are increasing too much too fast that it doesn't match the job market. So they come out and they're not satisfied with the job that is offered to them, and they lounge about in their youthful splendor until their parents get really pissed off when they get into their mid 20s and they start working on whatever they can
right,
find.
yeah, and then outside, I mean, the more popular debate actually is among a lot of economies in China, outside China, is about the nationwide urban area unemployment figures may be much higher than what being declared or what being reported. But then we need to, yeah, I'm still punching the numbers here, so we couldn't draw to the conclusion
Mm.
if that figure could be higher. I mean, that go to your point about there's a cliff fall in unemployment from the before 25 years old to beyond after 25 years old.
Yeah.
So if the after 25 years old and unemployment figures are underdeclared, then we have to come back to this discussion.
Mm.
Okay, that's one point. But another point is more anecdotal. I again talking about my anecdotal experience
Hmm.
with my relatives in Guangzhou.
Mm.
I went back a couple of weeks ago. Called of my cousins. My cousins all between either my age or I think the oldest one is around, yeah, probably around like 15 to 20 years older than me.
Mm. Mm.
So very wide range of people. And they all actually since my cousin's generations, everyone only have one kid in their family. So I met three family in just one lunch. So all three family have one kid,
Mm.
and their kids all have entered into the workforce already.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
One thing I found about this employment topic or the youth unemployment, it's not so much about I mean to them all their kids after university basically they all get a job right away. I found that their income comparing to what their parents get as a retirement package, it's just not proportional. Nearly all of them, so they're not senior official or anything. So they are all just there are a couple of them basically just a blue collar workers
Mm-hmm.
like driver or someone who in the bus repairing shop so for their entire career.
Mm.
So handyman type of. But since they're working for SOE, so they get some sort of a
retirement package close to 10,000 RMB a month.
What was their final salary the year before they retired?
They said they get, yes, some said they get a bit higher now. That sounds strange to me.
They get hired
And
now before then?
yeah, but a couple of them said that they get lower.
Okay.
I don't know how they,
Yeah.
in China, the salary also, um, there's a lot of elements. They have the salary, but they also have a sort of bonus
Yeah.
or some
Yeah.
sort of social welfare kind of a
Yeah. Yeah.
subsidy
Yeah.
that
And
they
they
add on top of it.
yeah, they used to be paid in kind with a lot of things like cooking oil and that stuff. But I think that system is not used as much anymore. But
Mostly cash now.
yeah, yeah. But they get all kinds of payments in weird ways. Uh, yeah, so there's bonuses, there's year-end things, there's Hongbao and New Year's. So it's sometimes really hard to pin down what these guys are really making.
Yes. But I mean, anyhow, that the retired people making more, way more actually. The young people I heard.
Uh,
They're mostly between early 20, like 22, 23, to
yeah,
up to like 30. I think the oldest kids are like around 33, 34.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, that doesn't strike me as all that strange. Entry-level jobs in the U.S. If we're not talking about Goldman Sachs or just normal entry-level jobs in the U.S. pay less than for someone probably around what somebody would. Nobody gets a pension in the U.S. anymore, but if the pension system still remained, they would probably you would retire in the U.S. receiving something like an early 20s person's salary, because your salary would have like doubled or tripled over your career. And then on the
yeah.
year of your retirement, you would, as a pension, get something like half of that.
Right. And then they still make more than, I mean, their retirement package is still bigger than because these kids they are not fresh grad anymore. Okay, one is, but then a couple others they are kind of 5 years or even 10 years
Into
into
their
the
career.
employment already. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they still like that the 30 something, maybe he's making similar to his parents or better.
Yeah.
But then he's talking about two parents, right? So one is the ratio is one kid. Of course, it's not like the kids' income giving to the parents' retirement, but that's a kind of a general social ratio nowadays in China, right? So the 35 or below supporting those like 65 to maybe 80. So 1-to-2 ratio. So one keeps productivity, so generating some economic value that allow the government to pay two retirees retirement package. And that retirement package individually is not much smaller. Actually, I have at least two cases where the retirees actually get higher salary than their kids. I mean, of course, one of them just fresh grad, maybe like what you say, still at a very early stage and making much less. So that figure strike me that one person paying for two retirees package, and each retirees package is actually very big comparing to the young people's income.
Well,
So,
this doesn't surprise me at all. These old people went through the years of large pay increases every year in the from 2010 to 2018 or something like that. And then these young people are entering their careers when pay is being cut. So that gap of a retiree's compensation versus someone who's entering is pretty large as we speak. This is
granted is that the retirees that gone through a careers of continuous improvements or promotion. So in the end, the salary is much higher. But now at I mean, the map's still the same, right? So I mean, in the sense that the young people's economic productivity need to be able to
yes
like match the number of retirees that need to have a pension, and also the size of the pension that each retiree is getting. I just don't think that
Well, that's why the young people are
that
not
could
getting.
survive.
No, that's exactly why the young people are paying so little. Is because they need to pay these pension people, right?
Right.
Right. So these companies they can't afford to pay these young people that much when the economy is not good because they have a lot of pensioners to support. That's one of the major reasons that
Yeah, then it ends up maybe the older people, the one who driving the consumption.
yeah, I mean there's this saying in China that the old people in China right now are just like the Western world, just like any other developed country. The boomers, the old people, are having the best time of their lives. They retired early, they got all the benefits of the housing price growth, they got their pensions, and they're just living large. And then it's the middle class who hasn't gone through that yet, which is scratching their head. And then the people who are really suffering are the Generation Z, the people who are just entering the workforce now. But I don't think that's not just a China thing. That's like all over the world.
All over the world, so they don't have that kind of a very extreme ratio of the young people, the old people, though, right? So because China's a one-child policy, especially in the urban areas, it's quite often that you have a one young person that have, I mean, every pair of parents only have one kid.
Yeah, China but when you look at the population pyramids of China doesn't look all that different from the other Asian countries. It probably looks better even than Korea, for instance. So China's not that far off. Korea, a lot of old people have no kids. That's
Right.
what. So as a population pyramid, China is not that different from the other developed Asian countries. A lot of developed Western countries, they look marginally better, but they have the same problem. It's still too few young people, too many old people. And it's the same
Right.
thing. It's the same thing in Western countries where the baby boomer generation has collected all the benefits of rising housing prices and stock prices, and the young people can't get on the economic ladder. And I think that the difference between modern societies is the degree that this is true.
On the macro side, and really go back to your point about, okay, these young people, they are much better educated, so they're supposed to have a much higher productivity.
Yeah.
So one of them better be good enough to replace two retirees' output.
Whoa. Oh, no, that's not. I don't think this is a question of output. These young people are definitely more productive. It's that they're just not being compensated for it. You got these young people who are getting paid nothing, and they're contributing all the economic benefit. And then the old retiree is getting a huge pension.
Okay, so then the proof of that is because the per capita GDP has been growing.
Yeah, the proof of that is that. The proof of that
Yeah.
is, how many cars are produced now, 30 million versus 2 million, in the year 2000. Just, the economy is definitely getting more and more productive. It's just a certain group of population have hoarded the
The benefit.
goodies. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never quite buy this argument. The reason I don't quite buy it is because sooner or later, old people die, So sooner or later, old people die and their houses have to go somewhere, whether it's passed down as a inheritance to their kids, or it goes back into the market, and then it makes housing prices fall, and then people can get on the property ladder. So I always scratch my head when they say that young people have no chance because the old people have hoarded all the resources. Is that on a societal level, old people drop dead, and those resources have to go somewhere. But I don't know. I don't know how to solve that that little logic puzzle in my head.
Well, yeah, the accumulative, I mean, the assets the old people hold, so yeah,
Yeah.
eventually pass down to the generation. So,
Yeah.
but then the assets will only worth the money if the assets has its utilization rate to cover it. The
Yeah.
property that a lot of older generation holds in China, I don't know, if they will still have the same value as today, though. going forward.
Yeah, I mean, Japan ran into this problem, right? Japan's property was super expensive in the early 90s and late 80s. And then now you can't give it away. There's all these suburbs around Tokyo that are just so
a lot of I mean the productivity, okay. You get a GDP to prove it, to validate the quality of it. The old people, yes, your point about old people eventually will die. So whatever the benefit the old people, the retirees are holding, so like the package and all those, eventually they will give away. So, but the problem is that the old people are living longer nowadays.
So
the life longevity is being extended. So then they add to the burden of people who work to generate to support this population.
I guess that becomes a math problem, is what the pyramid looks like, as in if they're all dying now, then the kids can benefit now. But if they're all going to live till their 90s, then the kids won't benefit until they're in their 60s and ready to retire themselves.
Then the grandkid, you have even higher biggest burden.
Exactly.
So they will support 2 generation elderly instead of 1 generation.
But
still
over time, it got to reach some equilibrium, as in people don't live forever. Unless they do, then we got a real problem. If people do live forever, then they would force everybody to keep working.
Okay. I mean, the full point of your article is about the demographic thing in China is not as much of a problem as, I would say, consensus, right? So consensus thing. The aging population, then you counter with a better educated population, a growing educated population, and then the youth unemployment, you are counter with, well, that actually is just about higher percentage of a university admission, so that the youth denominators are shrinking. Hence, the unemployed percentage seems to be higher.
Yes, with a caveat, with a very important caveat, that this education bonus that China will be getting will only last till the mid-2040s. And then after the mid-2040s, we hit this baby gully of collapsing birth. Then we really fall off a cliff, like in 2046 and later. Now, 2046 and later, between now and then, if the economy is if nothing really changes technologically, then China is in a whole lot of hurt. But if they reach that point and artificial intelligence and robotics and automation has some sort of a step change, then everything's fine. And now, to me, it's so far away. I suspect that by the time we reach there, technology would have fixed a lot of things. And some of the proof I get is that when they say countries will get old before they get rich, and then there's only one country in the world that that's not true. In some European countries, only Japan has really, really stagnated. Now, some European countries have as well, like Italy, Spain, but between the Asian tigers, Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, they've all, and Taiwan, they all continue to grow. All of them now, on a per capita basis, are wealthier than Japan. And they all have similar population problems as Japan. So they did not grow old before they got rich. They did grow old, but they still continue to get richer. Now, Korea to me, is playing with fire. As in, yes, it is getting richer, but they're really hoping that some sort of technological breakthrough will just keep going, because I think they're really stretching themselves at this point.
Right. Yeah, true. So the Asian countries, one thing about them, so they all put a lot of resources in education, but it's not like the European countries are doing less in education, though. Yeah, I would be hesitant to make the point about the Asian country invest more in. No. You actually, your point is actually the rest of Asia versus Japan. Japan is not doing less in education, but maybe the STEM. You have a point about the percentage of STEM graduate in Japan being
Well,
peak
yeah,
has
Japan
peaked in
definitely has a problem.
70s. Yeah.
Japan definitely has a problem where their young people are getting less, and then so to make up for it, they're accepting more people into colleges. So the people that they've accepted more are of lower quality, just almost by definition. And then at the same time, the people choosing engineering as a STEM is getting less, whereas people choosing medicine as STEM is getting more. So their engineering graduates are less now than they were in the 90s, and then of lesser quality and less. So Japan is really running into a human capital problem. That is somewhat the opposite of Korea, where they're just educating everybody to the highest level as they can, where now Korea has the highest educated young people population, where well over 70% of below 40s are university grads. And I'm going to pull up the number somewhere, but even a lot of them have master's degrees in Korea. So that is how I think Korea has kept going and has surpassed Japan in its per capita GDP. But its birth rate has fallen far below Japan's now. Japan is at 1.3 and kind of holding steady. So it's just sliding into the night slowly, whereas Korea has fallen to last year, I think I fell below 0.7 per woman, is 0.69 or something, which is just catastrophic if we keep going, because it's not like Koreans can work any harder.
Are there any other proof about the quality? You just use the sheer number of the educated STEM students, but is there any also others like data point to prove about the quality of education? So it's not just about the bulk, but or it doesn't matter. As long as you have a higher educated STEM, then you usually have a more technological breakthrough, the higher productivity gain, regardless of we don't need to look at the quality at all.
It seems to match 1-for-1 for person. It seems to match.
What's your I mean your backing or evidence?
Okay, yeah, I'll show you the charts, right?
I'll show you the
charts. I'm trying to share.
Yeah.
Can you see?
Yeah. No. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, you can see the screen. So
China undergraduate field study. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me see. See, this is Japan's percentage that's going to four-year universities. Japan has over here. It's been robbing its two-year universities that are running out of young people. Now the total graduates for Japan, for China, it keeps increasing like this, right? Just on a steady slope up of total graduating engineering students. With Japan, it peaked over here and it's declining, right? So what that has led to is a decline in domestic patent applications. This is pure numbers. This is Japan by percentage of the world. This is percentage of scientific articles published. Japan is just stagnating or dropping. Korea keeps increasing. Value added is percentage of the world. China, Japan, Korea is holding steady. So it kind of tells me that it is 1-for-1. So you can see here, Japan, this is where Japan is robbing the two-year programs, whereas Korea, it's pretty much doing the same thing, except it's robbing so much more than just its two-year college programs. It's also robbing older students and older people and educating them. That's why they have college entrance over 100% of 18-year-old cohorts. So it's just doing it to a much more intense level that they actually achieve higher productivity out of it. But what you do is you get into that has led to this scary Korea population collapse where the babies born like last year are just let's see, like 2, almost 3 to 9, less than a third of what it was of like their peak of their 50-year-olds. Whereas China is it's not great either. So China is looking like Korea, but it's not a drop like this. It's a sudden drop here. They still have these young people, whereas Japan is a slow ding, 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 ding.
What happened to China's charts? Why they have this spike ups for the 35 years old?
What happened
the
here?
one, yeah, the couple
This-
in the early 90s, they suddenly become more productive.
This is probably a population echo of this.
50s are the one in the 70s, 60s. Yeah, back then, yeah,
So-
people around us tend to have a few kids.
So what happened, I think, is Mao pushed for huge population increases. So that's this hump right here. And
Yeah.
then this is a population echo, which is these people
Those people start have baby.
yeah, had a baby. And this
Yeah,
right
20
here
years, okay.
is probably a population echo as well. And then these people kind of correspond here.
Right. So the 10 years old is echo the ones 35. So yeah, they were married 5 years later than the cohort in the 55.
Yeah.
The 55 and 35 is around the 20 years, right? Okay.
So do we have anything more to cover this time?
I think that's it. It's
Okay.
the question for me. I think that your point about growing educated populations, yeah, I think that might be the opportunity for China.
Well, I mean,
Despite-
I don't have that chart in here, but China is still in its add, right? As in, this is a flow number. This is the flow of students going into the workforce, adding people to the college educated workforce. So it went from below 5% in the year 2000 college educated workforce. Now it's 25% of the workforce, total workforce in China is 4-year college educated, 25% of China's population. And by the time we get to mid 2040s, it will get to 25% is 2 and 4 year educated. By the time we get to the 2040s, it will be something close to 70%. So you're doubling or a little bit more than doubling your college educated workforce between now and then.
Right.
Whereas other developed nations are they're in replacement mode. It just, who's retiring and who's entering. They're just that percentage is steady.
Okay.
Okay. I will try to.
We pause here.
We'll leave it here.
Maybe
and then,
we just let it sink in. So we think of more points.
Yep.
We come back, we convene on this topic.
Okay. We'll chat later.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.